believe that the way to deal with loneliness is loneliness itself. 对抗孤独的方法就是孤独本身。Hi everyone, this is Leslie. It's so nice meeting everyone again. And today I would like to share something really personal to me, but I think it's also super important. So one of the biggest changes over my undergrad years is that I begin to enjoy being alone, embrace my inner self, and I adjust the way I make connections. It's not that I don't need friends anymore or I don't need any of the social life. It's that I need my own space. I need time to think, reflect, and self-care. I was always wondering that why there's so much anxieties and stigma associated with being alone. So when you're alone, people would think that, oh, you're alone. You have no friends? Do you have any social problems? How boring is it to be alone? We are constantly worried about how others perceive us. There is a quote from the book I am reading. It is called The Courage to Teach. I would like to share with you. Considering our paradoxical need for both community and solitude, human beings were made for relationship. At the same time, we were made for solitude. Our lives may be rich in relationship, but the human self remains a mystery of enfolded inwardness that no other person can possibly enter or know. And I could totally relate. So I'd like to share my personal experience that I never shared with the public before. I used to be a crowd pleaser. My self-awareness began to grow in junior and senior high school. On the one hand, I really don't want to eat alone in the canteen for the fear of being the unwelcome one. So I always like to have lunch or dinner with my friends. On the other hand, I actually didn't enjoy group activities so much because I found that it's hard to listen or speak to a large number of people. So it's hard to really having a true sense of communication. Usually the one-on-one conversation is deeper and it's easier to just make a connection with that person. Then I have my college life, so I was just really happy and carefree in my freshman year. You know that the business school itself actually encourages socializing, so it's kind of a business school culture to hang out, to network, to meet new people and just talk with them. And I am super excited. I was constantly networking and building connections till my energy ran out. And interestingly, for the first time, I went to a bar and a club. Mom and Dad, if you are watching, your daughter is still a good kid. My mind was filled with voices, images, and opinions, and I was just so busy remembering all those new names and new faces. Sadly, I found that I could hardly sit down and read a book. Then the pandemic came and it changed everything. My roommate moved out and I had to stay in the apartment alone for 6 months. I came to a realization that I actually read and thought more in this 6 months than the past 2 years combined. It is strange, isn't it? When I was with myself, the power of inner conversation and reflection were so strong. Then I started to really dig deeper. Why we're afraid of being alone. The first reason that came to my mind is that we are just afraid of being left behind and being ignored. When we're alone, we tend to think that we are the ones left behind and everyone is just having their own life. There's new things happening all the time on social media. You can see that friends are being really popular. They are throwing parties, they're hanging out with friends, they're having really fancy food. We're just afraid that we don't have friends, we don't have human interactions, we are the ones that are left behind. Especially when everyone looks so fulfilling and popular on social media because everyone is showing their best version of themselves. Also, that I know that you don't want to be seen as different, but who cares? After I went to university, I realized that There are really all kinds of people. There are definitely people that are more introverted than me who are just staying 24/7 in their dorms. There are other kinds of people that is kind of more extroverted. They are social animals. They are partying all around. You can see them everywhere. Coffee shops, restaurants, pubs, campus, dorms. They are more extroverted. However, I feel like I am more in the middle, so I enjoy being alone, and I also like to hang out with people. And of course, there are lots of people who are also in the middle, like me. Now let's go to the next part. So there are a few things that I do when I am alone, and hopefully you could get some inspirations from it. I've always believed that the way to deal with loneliness is loneliness itself. First thing that I usually do when I'm alone is really to clear your mind, relax, and give yourself a break. I read lots of articles talking about why a small break is very, very important for you, especially when you are working or studying really hard. So I think when you are being with yourself, this is the best time for you to really declutter and to relax. My other favorite things when I'm alone are reading, writing, and lots of thinking. So when you're alone, you can really do some reflections and to focus on the book itself or to write something that you like. For me personally, I like to keep a personal journal, which I would always reflect and write things down. And when I look back on this journal or diary, I would say I could see that how can I improve, how can I learn from the past, and how can I better communicate with others, and how can I do better in my work or study. And don't forget that when you're alone, it's actually the best time to enjoy the movies and TVs. I know that you want to watch movies or TVs with your friends. However, I do feel that when you are Netflixing with your friends, there are a lot of chatting there. So it's hard to really focus on the plot development or the character. And it's best when you have some snacks around so you can just enjoy it when you are watching the movie alone. Of course, art museums, galleries, and exhibitions are the best when you are going alone. When you go to the art gallery with a bunch of friends, I'm sure you are having a good time. However, with friends, I think you always care about what others are doing. For example, when you want to move maybe to the other painting, then your friends are still there. You would think that, oh, should I wait for her? When you go along, you can take your time. You can see all these paintings, all these arts on your own pace. And that's good. Other things that cooking, exercising, playing music, and you can do so much more. I'm also open to any comments or inspirations things that you can do when you are alone. It's really nice chatting with you about my experiences and thoughts. Thank you so much for listening and see you next time. Don't forget to comment things you do when you are alone, and I'm excited to read that.